Hello, everyone. It's so good to have you today. We're really glad to tell you that we're starting our first podcast. We're going to be teaching you about the BRRRR method, which is a proven method for investment real estate. Today, we're going to be speaking with Rick Rosen. He has 40 years plus. He's been saying 40 years as long as I've known him, so he's got more than 40 years of experience in both real estate and the investment side of real estate. He's going to teach you the 5 essential steps to becoming a repeat investor with a great percentage of success. He is the co-founder of the Real Estate Investment Center. We also work with regular real estate, but our main focus is on investment. Over the years, he has become very honed in finding solutions to problems in the real estate business. Rick, I'm so glad to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Ronnie.
If you want to go tooling around on the web while we're talking, you can see our website address on the screen right now. It's www.BRRRR or BRRRR and it will bring you to a place where you can kind of peruse what we have to offer. But today Rick is going to be explaining some of that more in depth as we go along in the podcast, but today he's going to give you the basics on how to get involved.
Well,
Welcome, Rick.
Thank you, Ronnie. Once again, thank everybody for joining us for our first podcast. We're really excited to be able to join with you today, and we hope that this experience is going to give you confidence that you know that you got a resource to go to be able to be successful in your real estate investing. And I'll tell you something. A lot of people say, can I invest in my backyard? Well, it's true. You can invest anywhere in the country. There's ways of doing it. Right now, we're kind of based in Michigan. Our center is located in Troy, Michigan, which is right in the heart of Oakland County. And what you're going to find is that the more successful you're going to get is because you had learned the skill sets in the 5 essential elements of the BRRRR method. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about the different steps today, but we're also going to talk about our team. Our team is here to help you, and when you see about assembling a team, you're going to really realize that is the key to success. Ronnie, if I were to say to you, you're going to be the coach today of our beloved Detroit Lions, okay? Or I would say general manager, okay? Do you know a lot about football? Would you be able to do that?
No, I would not. I know about eating hot dogs and wings.
Okay. Well, the same goes too with real estate, is that you got to assemble a good coaching staff, and that's what we're here for, to be able to give you the information that you need as general manager of your new business. You need to be able to have a resource at any given time to answer your questions. And you'll find on our website that you could get a free half-hour consultation with me by clicking and making the request, and you'll have a time set right on the screen. So I think that's kind of innovative, and I think you're going to really like that opportunity.
So Rick, I know that being in the business, people are always trying to kind of jump the line and get into investment real estate, and they always ask, how can I do it? I mean, what's my first step, or how am I going to be successful? And there's any number of commercials on the television, telling people that they can invest without any money, and it'll only cost them $10,000 to do their method. Can you tell us what BRRRR means, and what a little bit more about how we can take them from point A to the finish line?
Okay, so basically what you're asking us is the why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've probably been asked that question, I would say weekly, about, Rick, I know you're in the real estate business. I know that you do a lot of investing. Could you tell me how I can get started? And when you get asked that like at least once a week, I don't really personally have the time, when they ask that like on the fly to help them. But now I have a resource to send them to right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that is I can send them to the website so they can learn the basic 5 essential elements of being able to be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they come to me, I'll be able to help them with their needs and helping them form their team.
Okay, so you've mentioned team members. Can you give us an idea what you mean when you say gather your team together when you're doing your project?
So if you're going to coach the Lions or be the general manager of the Lions, you're going to need to have an offense coordinator, a defensive coordinator, line coach, running back coach, quarterback coach. I mean, there's got to be a zillion coaches on that team. Same thing with the real estate, is that you're going to need to have about 7 team members. And when you go to our website, it lists the different team members that you're going to need. And, we can help you with that. We can make referrals to you and stuff like that. But basically, it's on you as the CEO to be able to pick out your team members.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to talk to you about 2 team members. And you'll be able to meet them at the next podcast. We're going to have our general contractor, licensed builder in the state of Michigan, Sam Talib. He's going to be there to answer your questions along with giving you like an introductory of what you really should know in terms of being successful at it.
So will you be on the podcast with him?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I'll be there, and matter of fact, you'll be asking the questions again. Okay.
Well, I like the idea of getting a team together. So tell us a little more about your team idea.
I think out of all of the places where the people fall down the most, the general contractor, the construction element of it, everybody puts a budget together, supposedly, and then when they get done with the project, they go, I can't figure this out. I'm like 25% over budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that will kill you when it comes to the BRRRR method. You can't be 25% over and be successful in our business. So that's where having a successful general contractor is helpful. And by the way, Sam is also an avid investor, and he's been through this on his own many times. So he's going to be a really good resource for us. The second most important thing is when you finally renovate the home, now you're ready to get your tenants, okay? What you're going to want to do is get a professional property manager. Now everybody goes, oh no, it costs money to do that. Well, of course, there's money that you have to pay to get a professional property manager, but I'm willing to bet you that when you get done with a couple of years of being your own manager, and then you compare it to having hired it out, you're going to find that property manager had actually put money in your pocket on the comparison between doing it the 2 ways. One way is, what is your personal time worth? You're an engineer. You bill out at $250 an hour, but you got tied up on 10 hours of property management duty. That's $2,500 that just threw out the door, where you could have paid less than half of that to have your property manager involved. Maybe even a quarter of that, to be honest with you. So your property manager will also work on making sure that you get good tenants first, and you're not going to have a nightmare. So the conversation, if you're the property manager, you get home, you sit at the table, your wife asks you, did that tenant finally pay us the rent? It's been 2 months now.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to have that kind of strife going on in your family.
Right.
So keep it out of the house and have the property manager handle that for you.
Right. So Rick, you're talking about trying to give us the best possible chance of being successful.
Yes.
And it is a scary thought to think that you're going to invest thousands of dollars into a project and not know for sure if you're going to get out. And we've all heard the horror stories.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So one of the things that I do love about our method is that we can take you to the website, we can look at the project, you have a mathematical equation that you use to make sure that you're going to have the best possible chance of being successful. So with that being said, give us an idea of,
How that works?
or how it works, but also
Okay.
a success story
Okay.
using the method that
Okay.
you are talking about.
Okay, so we have a family from Southern California, from LA, and not in the area that burnt down. But what's really nice is this lady says to me, I can't invest in my backyard because everything is so expensive. My girlfriend lives in Detroit and says Detroit might be the place to buy the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to her, you're probably true. It might be easier to get more doors, making you more money, than trying to maybe have one rental in California with the money you're working with. So what we did is we got her into the BRRRR method, and after 2.5 years, she has 13 doors, 13
That's
houses.
Great. That's great.
In good areas too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, if you've never done it before, you could start with one door, and you could, through this method, teach them to go from one door, and over the years, pull their money out, use it again, and then they end up with, 5, 6, however many doors they can get, and have a wonderful retirement.
So a good success story is we had 2 father and son teams. So obviously the dad had the money and the son had the time to work on it, and they would buy a house, renovate it, and then using the BRRRR method, they would turn it over to property management. It would get rented out, and then I would refinance the property, help them on the refinancing, and then they would have most of that entire pool of money that they started with on the first purchase to be able to use it for a second purchase. And in theory, if you're doing everything efficiently, you could do 2 in 1 year.
That's awesome.
2 cycles in 1 year.
Right, that's great. So Rick, we have talked about the website, www.BRRRRthrive.com, and we would love for you to go there. And the reason is because you're going to get, on first sight, you're going to see the 5 essential steps. But because we really haven't talked about it much, explain to them what those 5, tell them what they are, and a brief idea of how to do that.
So the BRRRR method, the acronym B followed by 4 R's, that's buy, renovate, that's the first R, rent, that's the second R, refinance is the third R, and the most important R is the last one, repeat.
Yeah.
To keep the process going.
So you see on that second and third one, you're going to rent it and refi. So that gives you the opportunity to pull out the increase, some of your equity, so you can go ahead and repeat that process.
That's right.
That's very good.
The increase that Ronnie's talking about is you actually created equity in the property. You bought a distressed property more than likely, and the property needed renovation. You did that. Made the place look beautiful. You got your tenants in there. The appraiser comes out for your loan, and they say, guess what? Originally you had $120,000 invested in your property. It's worth $180,000.
Mm.
I've had that happen a number of times.
Yeah, that's great.
150, 160, 170, 180. So what we're able to do is we're able to lend a certain percentage of that amount, and that usually is enough to pay for your total investment if you did your BRRRR method math correctly. And on the website, it's right there as the magic formula. So make sure you go see it.
So Rick, will you encourage potential future clients to, if they come to you with a property and it doesn't quite meet the math, will you encourage them to go for it? You're just going to make your money and run, Rick, or are you going to help them?
So sometimes people come to me, and they already have a purchase agreement signed, and basically they want my advice, and they go, maybe we might let you do the refinancing, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is I'll take a look at the improved value, that's called ARV. You'll see that on the website. And the improved value is a piece of the puzzle. The purchase price is another piece of the puzzle, and the renovation cost is the other piece of the puzzle. And then some smaller pieces is your carrying cost. What does it cost you to carry that property for up to 6 months and that would be the interest on your loan, that would be your insurance, and it would also could potentially be utilities because you're paying for utilities while the home is being renovated, right?
I bet you guys didn't. He mentioned so many things that most people don't think about when they're trying to get into the investment business. We think, oh, let's just get this house. It's under market value. We're gonna buy it. We're gonna fix it up, and we're gonna sell it.
Right.
But he mentioned 5 or 6 things. Holding time, ARV, insurance. How are you gonna get this thing rehabbed on your own? He's mentioned all these hidden things that could send you down the wrong path or cause your first project to be a letdown, and people sometimes will get scared away from that, right?
Yes.
So in this podcast, if you will go to the website, if you'll go through and read what we have out there, get an appointment with Rick. He will sit down, 30-minute appointment with you, no cost to you.
By the way, it's virtual.
It's a virtual, yeah, you can do virtual.
We have the Zoom system as well as just on the telephone.
Yeah, and he'll be able to walk you through it, and if you have never done it before, he can walk you through it. If you've done it before, he's also able to expedite your next project because, as we said before, over the years, he's met wonderful people that have proven themselves to be experts on every facet of investment, the investment industry. The last thing I want to ask you, Rick, is while we're going about this process, how will you help the audience engage with us so that you can answer some of those questions and help them to know where they can start?
So everybody's coming from a different background and a different situation. We actually have investors from outside the country. I just had somebody call from Israel. I have people, we get a lot of people from Toronto calling, a lot of people from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also international. So in a lot of the areas, people realize it's too expensive for them to buy real estate in their home country. But if they come to maybe the Midwest someplace, Detroit's been a hotbed, Cleveland's been a hotbed, Indianapolis has been a hotbed.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, we're still finding properties in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But I would believe there's probably groups of investors that are buying all across the country, but they just have different investment techniques that they use to make it work there.
Okay, so outside of our actual podcast, you'll have this information on the website as well. You'll have it on Facebook. And people can comment, and we'll keep the conversation open. Now, this has been, we've gone maybe a little over time, but this has been very informative, Rick. And I want to thank you for the information that you've given us today. And I would like to tell you all that I've worked with this man for many years. We would rather lose you as a client than steer you in the wrong direction. It's our desire for you to do well, and if you join us and become part of the investment world, we're going to give you everything that we've learned over the years. And I've watched this man honestly tell people, this is not a good project. I would not recommend it. He could let you go ahead and then,
sure,
make a commission or whatever, but we want you to use the BRRRR method and thrive in this business. Thank you very much, Rick.
Well, thank you, Ronnie.
It's been really a good conversation, and look for us. And I don't know when's our next meeting?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. All right. God bless everyone.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you. Remember, go to www.BRRRRs, BRRRR, thrive.com. Get an appointment, and we'll see you online.
And Ronnie and I want you to thrive, not just survive.
Amen.
Bye.
All right. Have a good night.